Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Loan Officer Life, Hustle, Heart, and Homeownership. I love saying that. I am joined by a returning guest, Ginger Bell. Ginger,
Hey,
welcome back.
welcome. I love to be a returning guest. And I think the last time I was on, it was your 100th episode. Is that right?
That's right. And this is, I'm looking at the screen, this is number 157.
Okay, so we started a tradition now. So every 50
Yeah,
of your
that's right.
podcast,
That's right.
every 50 weeks, it's
But
Ginger Bell time.
that's it. We probably need more Ginger Bell in our life. So we might have to pull that up a little bit.
Is that like I need more cowbell?
Exactly. Yeah. So you've been busy. There's a lot going on. I see you now in the AI Beehive. You're doing some cool stuff with NAMB. You've got your training going on. What's new in the world of Ginger Bell?
Oh, what is new? So I jumped into AI really in 2023 and just as many of us fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And so I created a directory mostly because I was doing a lot of training around AI for both loan officers and for real estate agents on, what apps were out there, how to use it, how to do prompts, all those kind of things. And what I saw happening is as people started to adopt a lot of the tools that are out there, I would get an email or a call saying, "Hey, remember you were talking about that one thing that'll, take your pictures and make more pictures or, whatever app we were talking about." And so I had a list, it's like we all start out with a list. And so I'd email them a list. And one day I was like, okay, I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
And so I said, I'll just create a directory. And so I just started from there, just kind of putting different tools in there and, started the name. I don't know why AI Beehive was one of
Yeah.
the ones that came up. So from there, we just started adding to the directory as I would see a cool, new AI app. I would say, okay, let's add it in there. And it's cool because you can go in and I've set it up to where you can search by, I want, a video editing or like we added one the other day that was really cool that it's by Angel AI
Hmm.
and it's called Angel Twin.
Oh yeah, I played with that.
Yeah, and it so those kind of things, and I don't know about you when you start playing around with them, like Hey Jen is another one that I've been playing around with a lot. And Hey Jen will create an avatar. And when we first started playing around with these avatars, they were not good, and I
Right.
did a lot of training. And, it's like, especially like when I was doing a lot around compliance training, it's like, what can we use to kind of make this a little more interesting? They were never that good. Well, as we know, AI has been evolving at such an incredible rate that now these avatars are actually not only sounding pretty good, but they actually are looking
Oh yeah.
real. And so, yeah, so that was one that I, just started playing around with. So we've been adding those into the directory. And
I'm navigating the directory as we talk.
oh, are you really? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yes. And then the mortgage tools, there's a lot of really cool mortgage tools out there. We had Paul was on with Prudent AI.
Paul Gelati.
Paul Gelati and just what they're doing in terms of streamlining the underwriting process is absolutely amazing. And the time, I mean, when you think about this, and I just saw a quote on Angel AI, and they have been able to take their underwriting cost down to $200 a file, which is phenomenal because we
Yeah.
know how much all our costs have increased in the industry. And so those are the kind of things when we start really getting into this, and as so many brilliant, talented people start coming up with ideas on how to leverage AI, um, it's really figuring those out. But I think, Brian, I think that's where part of the challenge is too for people. It's like, where do I get started with all of this,
Yeah.
right?
It could be quickly overwhelming if you if you're like me and it's like, oh, that's something. Let me create an account and try that. Next thing I know, I've got 14 things that I've barely, scratched the surface on.
Well, and that's part of it, for organizations as we start navigating this. So many organizations have had in the past a huge tech stack.
Yeah.
And, for many, it's great for recruiting purposes, but for others, it's like, how many are actually utilizing it?
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things when, as an organization, you start looking at um, what makes sense and what is really going to streamline your operations, what really are going to save time. So, I think part of the conversation I know in some of the consulting I've been doing with organizations around AI, it's really looking at creating an AI task force
Yeah.
and putting together a group to really say, okay, where are we going to leverage this? Where are we going to use this? Because it will save time. It will save money if you're smart about it.
Yeah. We're small. We're Finlocker. We're a small company. So we have every other Friday late in the afternoon, we have an AI council, and
Nice.
it's all voluntary. And I think we're up to like, 7 of our 25 team members are joining it. And all we're doing is talking about the stuff that each of us is using and just sharing, here's
Yeah.
how I use here's how I, like, for me personally, I'm really focused on like Chat GPT, and I've created a bunch of different projects for the different things that I work on.
Right.
And I talk to smart people like you, and then I take those ideas and I learn and go and train that project for the specific test. Like, this podcast has its own project in my Chat GPT,
Right.
and I'll take every transcript and drop it in there when we're done. I don't really have a prompt that says go do this with it, but once it's in there, I can go back in at any time and say, summarize the episode with Ginger Bell into show notes, a LinkedIn post to promote it, blah, 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 blah. And so it's like having, if you do it right, it's like having these like micro assistants that are,
Exactly.
scaling your ability to get stuff done.
Yeah, and if you set up the agents in ChatGPT, that's how mine is too. All of my clients, I have an agent for them. And you can upload, I think, up to 20 different files. So you can actually, put content in there, which is really
Mm-hmm.
cool. And it is amazing how much it streamlines the process. And I have to be really careful because it's like this morning I have several sessions. One of my newest hats I'm wearing is as a growth the growth officer. I think it's, well, I'm not sure if I'm the first. I think I'm the second. I think Jason was the first they had, for NAMB, the National
Yeah.
Association of Mortgage Brokers. And so I was working on some panels for NAMB National and, writing descriptions and things. And you become so reliant on it that it's like, okay, stop, Ginger. You used to do this.
And
You used to
but
think through
but
this, but it's good. And it's like, I mean, and sometimes I'll make myself like, okay, don't use the first title. Let's come up with something, a little bit more. And
yeah.
and so that's the nice thing with it. Honestly, I think it's making me better at what I'm doing because it's making me think of things, more creative things that I would not have necessarily thought of because of a lot of different reasons,
Right.
just my own capabilities, time constraints, I mean all of those things. So yeah, definitely using, even if you're just using ChatGPT for nothing more than creating, social media posts or, writing out emails or whatever, it's a great place to start.
Yeah, and I think for our audience, who's going to primarily be loan officers, I would encourage people just to focus on the up funnel value of Chat GPT. Let your company worry about the loan manufacturing process. But it's an amazing, if you can lever the tools, and you're a loan officer that is trying to build a bigger brand,
Hmm.
both in your physical and digital kind of home, if you will.
Hmm.
Um, it's a little bit of a cheat code, and something that I learned. I can't remember who's turned me on to this tool, and it could have been you. But check out GPT Zero.
Hmm.
It's a tool that's apparently used by educators to spot plagiarism,
Right.
and or AI created content
Yeah,
from
that's
students.
yeah.
And so what I do, again, a little bit of a cheat code, but when I'm using ChatGPT to write content, whether it's for LinkedIn or anything else I'm trying to do, first of all, I've trained my GPT to kind of talk in my
Your
tone, use
voice,
the
yeah.
words use the words I regularly use. Don't use delve and the bot words. But then I'll take whatever that output is, verbatim, copy, paste it into GPT zero, and then run a scan on it, and it literally will say this is 80% human, 20% AI. And then in GPT zero, you can just start editing and rescanning until you're probably never going to get to 100% human unless
Right.
unless it's truly 100% human. I, I don't know. It's helped me. And then the last thing I do on that is I take the final output from GPT zero, copy, paste it back into my GPT and say, here's my final edited version that I edited outside of AI. Right. So now it's like continuing to learn
Right.
that writing.
And it's a process too. So good for you for doing that. And so the GPT zero, and there's some other ones that are similar. I know a lot of HR departments use that to spot resumes who have
Yeah.
been, subject to just AI.
Yeah.
And I've heard, I have not spoken directly to anyone within HR that has done this, but I have heard that the resumes that are written completely by AI, they just throw out.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's like, had to put a little effort into it. Um, but yeah, doing that, I think the first thing is training, whatever you're using. I still keep going back to ChatGPT because you can set up those agents and you can get it to write in your voice,
Yeah.
and having that, and it's funny because you can actually, it'll analyze. So how do you do that? So if you want to get an agent, so what Brian's talking about when he has, and you don't call yours agents, you call them
Mine, they're projects for whatever reason. Yeah.
projects, agents.
Yeah.
You have to, first of all, you have to have the paid version, which is $20 a month. So,
It's worth it.
get that onto Starbucks. Um, and and then there, so on the left hand side, you can create up what they call a custom GPT. I wish they would have called it something else besides a GPT, because
Yeah.
it just it's like, okay, it's ChatGPT, but it's a GPT inside ChatGPT. Yes, it is. So we call them agents. And so the agents you can customize for projects, for clients, you could have one for each of your real estate agents. And so this, I mean, obviously the audience is loan officers. So let's say you're a loan officer and you're in Detroit, Michigan, which is where you're at. And so you want to build some branding based around Detroit and calling on real estate agents within Detroit. You honestly could set up an agent for each of your real estate agents that could be in their voice. So, how do
Mm.
you get their voice? You take their videos,
Yeah.
you take emails that they've sent, and you upload those into the custom GPT. You name it. So let's just say Rachel Smith is one of your real estate agents. So you create a different agent for Rachel Smith. You create one for, Bill Howell, and you create one for Sammy Susu. I'm probably not going to remember those names, but you have three different real estate agents. And then you can take the transcript of their videos and upload and say, write in this style, write in this style, write in this style. And then, I mean, you want to do something that's a standout. Why not take their open house or their
Mm.
listings or things that they have and put it into their own GPT and say, write a social media post for
Yeah.
this listing. And then you can, on Thursday, and make it a habit, make it a part of your reach out. Say, hey, Sammy, I see that you have an open house coming up on Saturday. This is absolutely fabulous. I know you're super busy. Just wanted to let you know I'm going to be posting this out on my social media to get people there. I'm sharing this with you also. And so, by the way, is it okay if I stop by? Hey, great job. And now you've given them, first of all, it's content for you.
Yep.
So now you're posting out, hey, if you're in the area, stop by. My real estate agent partner, he's doing a great open house. If you're looking or you know anyone that's looking, this is fantastic. Make sure and tag them. And then, if you're out and about on a Saturday, and this is something Brian used to do all the time, and I know a
Yep.
lot of people are falling away from it, go to your open houses.
Yeah.
If you want to deepen a relationship, stop by an open house and don't expect anything. Don't say, hey, do you have anybody here I can talk to?
Right.
Nobody likes that. It's
No.
like I go in, if I don't shop, I'm one of those women who I don't like to shop, which I know my husband will tell you it's the opposite, but it's true. And I go into a department store, I know exactly what I'm looking for. I'm going in, so I'm going to get, another pair of black pants. I don't know. But somebody come up and say, can I help you? And the first thing is, even though I know exactly what I want, the first response is, no, I'm just looking. I'm
Yeah.
not just looking. I know exactly what I want.
Right.
But it's just a natural thing. So, if you go to the open houses, go in and just say, hey, great open house. Just wanted to let you know, posted something on social media and I just wanted to come by. By the way, I have some people that may be looking, I just want to see if it's an option for them, kind of do a little takeaway. But you're creating that, thing. And you can do that for each of your real estate agents. And especially if you have agents who you are wanting to deepen or to develop
Right.
a relationship with, it's a great way to do this. And most loan officers aren't doing it.
No. No, I think that's a new one for me. I love that one. It's not that hard to do.
No.
Um, you literally could spend probably an hour, maybe 90 minutes tops,
Yeah.
and bang out like three, four, or five, individual agents, and then boom, there's your 1 to 3 o'clock Saturday, drive list. And again, I love when you said don't expect anything. You're not going there seeking anything in return,
No.
but you're going to get something down the road. People are
Yeah.
they're going to remember you. They're going to think of you.
And if you do it on a regular basis and you make it part of your cadence to where it's always happening, then they're going to remember you for doing that as
That's
well.
right.
So it's those little things, those little touches. It's like when I first started doing a lot of training in the industry, and I would do a lot of panel sessions. And if I was putting them together, I would always take a picture of everyone on the panel, and then I would print it off, put it in a frame, and mail it to them afterwards with a
Yeah.
card. And it's funny, I was in someone's office not that long ago who probably 15 years ago I had done this with. They still, Brian, had that picture
Yeah.
up in their office. And it was just one little thing, but it's those little things that people remember. And so when you take what's new with the AI, combine it with what's old, now you have a great marketing strategy.
And I love I love that combination of, combining the modern tools with the tried and true techniques.
Yeah,
Because it is basic blocking and tackling still wins the day.
absolutely.
And now with these tools that we're just describing and talking about, your ability to scale your reach across dozens of agents instead of, hyper focused on two or three, it grows exponentially. And then the access to data that's out there for originators to help identify which agents they should even be seeking out in the first
Yeah,
place.
yeah. And then leverage the tools. It's like what you guys do with FinLocker. Talk to your real estate agents. Hey, by the way, did you know we have some great tools and resources that we use, with different apps like FinLocker that, if you're talking and don't be afraid to show them. It's like,
Right.
I mean, a lot of what FinLocker does and your apps, and especially for the consumers, just sharing that with the real estate agent, it's like, oh yeah, and say, oh, by the way, have you had? I mean, and this is a way to casually get into a conversation.
Yeah.
Have you had anyone today who maybe has some questions about? Why, yes, I did. Well, this is what it can do, and if you do it in a way, it's like, hey, did you know? Hey,
Yeah.
did you know? So those little things, it's being smart. It's being, different, and doing what other people won't do. And that's the key to success in this market, is to do the things that other people won't do and hold yourself accountable to do it consistently. It's like your podcast. I mean, 150 episodes. Brian, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Because
Yeah.
a lot of people get started and they're like, oh my gosh, that's kind of hard. Or, I think I've done it long enough. It's like, no, you haven't done it long enough. You keep doing it.
Yeah, it's a good example of like if I only focused on the metrics of the podcast, downloads and all that stuff, I would have stopped, probably 3 episodes in. But instead, I look at the time that you and I are going to spend together. I'm going to learn a lot in 25 minutes spending time with you. You're not a great example, but others that I don't know as well. You talk about like a great way to get to know somebody is ask them to come on your podcast. Nobody ever says no.
No,
Like no one's now. Of course, I haven't asked I'm not asking
Gary
like
Vaynerchuk
kings
or
and queens and rock stars, but nobody goes and looks at my metrics and says, "Oh no, I'm not going to go on your podcast."
yeah,
Everybody says, "Yeah, of course I will,"
yeah.
because we like to talk about ourselves. It's just what we're humans.
And it's a way for them to be seen as well, where and doing your own videos are good. I think you
Yeah,
still should do your own videos. That's important. But I love the podcast because it takes the pressure off of you having to come up with what to say. And now
right.
you're having a conversation, and people love listening to them. So many times that, people have listened to a podcast that I did a long time ago. And it's like, oh, I listened to this episode. It's like, oh, that's still around.
I'll run into that every once in a while. You were at it before I was at it, but I do get an occasion someone will say, "Oh yeah, I came across," and you know a couple things that I've done in the last few weeks, setting up a specific page to host them. I never did that before, and now there's like more organization around it, and so to me, every loan officer in my mind should have a podcast.
Yeah.
And I've heard you talk about this. Dustin Owen talks about this a lot.
100%.
If I was a loan officer again, and I haven't been for 34 years, but if I was again, I would have a podcast based in my town, Walled Lake, Michigan. And once a week, I'd go spend 15 minutes with a business owner and interview them. And that would be my episode for the week. And I'd call it Living in Walled Lake or something like that. Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's easy to do, and you're going to get your name and face out there, but you're promoting a business. And guess what? The next time that business owner hears somebody talking about buying a home or refinancing a home, they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, Ginger, yeah, you need to reach out to Ginger." So it's a great networking tool.
Well, it is, because you're not just reaching your network, you're reaching their network.
Right.
And, to piggyback on just the whole localization thing, years ago, I had a client who had some new loan officers, just got out of college. They were in Austin, Texas, knew nothing about the industry, and they wanted to start calling on real estate agents. And so we branded them, and their whole branding was Love My Austin Home. And so, it's like, if you're going to wear a t-shirt, what are you going to put on a t-shirt? What are you going to put on a bumper sticker? What are you going to do all that? And then they were afraid to go and talk to real estate agents, because it's like, well, they said, we don't know anything. I said, what are you talking about? You don't know anything. I said, you have access to your entire sphere of influence of millennials,
Yeah.
that the real estate agents don't speak that language. I said, that's what you're leaning into. And so that was the whole strategy we used. So their conversations with real estate agents were, yes, I'm new, just graduated from college. I want to be able to really educate
Hmm.
my age group about
Yeah.
buying a home and what they need to know. And I'm looking for a couple of real estate agents that have the same mindset. They had the number one real estate broker in Austin, who was with Remax, take her under her wing. And she just said, listen, you're in my office. I'm welcoming you in. I'll teach you everything you know. They had these big events. They had all these things. And it was all based around Love My Austin Home. And we got the
Yeah.
URL and we did all of that. And so that localization, Brian, is huge. I mean,
Totally.
just doing that is huge.
And as much as we all want to talk about the stuff that's been going on in the industry with the M&A between Rocket and Redfin and Mr. Cooper, brilliant. I think the playbook is brilliant. I'm a big fan of what they're doing. I think it's going to be great for them, but the purchase business is still won at the hyper local level.
100%.
And that's where the local loan officer doesn't need to have the balance sheet, of the biggest players and the tech stack of the biggest players, because their secret weapon is themselves, the fact that they're a local human in that community.
And they need to lean into that, Brian, because it's like if we have those conversations at a local level, then that's the relationship you're going to build at the local level. And so, I mean, obviously it's just like the big box stores, right? It's
Yeah.
like that's going to be there, the localization is going to be there, but you have to put yourself into the equation.
Yeah.
And you have to let people know that you are that local expert.
I love it. Well, Ginger, you never disappoint. I, again, have a list of takeaways that I need to go explore, starting with the AIBeehive.com. I'm going to put a link to that here in the show notes. Everyone should check that out. Thank you again for coming on. We'll see you in, I guess, episode 200, right around there.
Maybe we'll do that live. Maybe we'll plan a special thing, Brian, and we'll do that live. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
See what time of the year, 50 weeks. I have to figure out where that is. Maybe we can be in Michigan. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for all you do. I appreciate you.
Thank you again, Ginger. And everybody, thanks for joining. Come back next Friday for the next episode of Loan Officer Life, Hustle, Heart, and Homeownership.